back for another Havamal reading. It's me and Jade again. Again, I want to refresh that Jade has never actually read the Havamal. This is her first time through it. And what we will be doing here, we are reading the Havamal stanza by stanza, taking turns, and we're discussing what we feel that that stanza could mean. Her from someone who's never read it at all, never heard it, or me from someone who has read it and meditated on it and gotten different insights. Since the Havamal is a book of wisdom, it is a book that you can read through and get many perspectives on easily. So keep that in mind as we move forward. Jade, say hello.
Hello. Glad
You
to be
ready
back.
All right. You ready for this?
Absolutely.
Awesome. All right. So we left off on 119, which I think the title of the last video I screwed up. So that means we'll be starting on 120. Leave it to me. Me and numbers. So you're on the left again. Tradition. You go first.
All righty. Number 120. I counsel you, Lord Fafnir, if you take my advice, you'll profit if you learn it. It'll do you good if you remember it. Get a good man to teach you the runes and learn a healing spell while you live. I mean, it's pretty straightforward. He's just telling him to find somebody who's good and knowledgeable about runes to teach him how to use them. I mean, because runes in general are pretty there's a lot to them.
There is. And you're all right. That is pretty straightforward. Some people also comment that we don't know for certain if the runes were used for spell work directly. We don't know if there's a translation issues, but whether they were or were not, this is still good wisdom because it's counseling you to find someone knowledgeable and wise to teach you to deal with health. And let's be honest, dealing with our own personal health and taking care of ourselves while we're alive and while we have life to enjoy, it's important.
Yeah, absolutely. Because, I mean, when he touches on the learn a healing spell while you live, I mean, you want to learn these things while you're still healthy and able to retain this information. Because when you do fall ill, it at that point, it's just like it's almost too late to try to learn all that kind of stuff because it takes
Learn it
practice.
before you need it.
It takes practice and fine tuning before you can master it to
Very
even try
much.
to effectively use it.
Yep, I agree. Which would take us to 121. Ready?
Yep.
I counsel you, Lord Fafnir, if you'll take my advice, you'll profit if you learn it. It'll do you good if you remember it. Never be the first to break friendship with your friend. Sadness will set up your heart. Well, sadness will eat up your heart if you have no one you can talk to.
I mean, you want to hold on to your friends. I mean, it is, having friendships, it's it's good to have people to have a wall to just throw your emotions at sometimes, to just be around and have good laughs and stuff like that.
Oh, I agree.
And
Yes.
and you don't want to break those friendships and burn those bridges. Um, because it is true when you are lonely and you don't have anybody to hang around, that's when a lot of people fall into very dark places.
Yeah. Or they fall in with the wrong people because they're so
hmm
desperate for people.
hmm
I've made that mistake. I will also point out, though, that you could go deeper with this than just don't be the one to burn the bridge, but also don't be the one to do the thing that causes the rift.
Oh, that is very true too, because it is two sides to that.
Mm-hmm. So don't be the one that causes the rift and don't be the one to burn the bridge.
hmm
If you can mend the friendship, mend it. because friendships can be mended. There's a difference in a friendship and the
Hmm.
wrong people.
Yeah.
There really is. All right. So stanza 122.
Yep. I counsel you, Lord Fafnir, if you'll take my advice, you'll profit if you learn it. It'll do you good if you remember it. You should never exchange words with someone who you won't see reason or who won't see reason. We deal with this a lot in our daily lives. I even deal with this in my daily life as it is. I mean, there's only so much you can tell a person if they're not willing to hear it, and if that at that point you're
You're wasting
speaking
your
of,
time and energy.
yeah, you're wasting your breath. And so if the person you're talking to, trying to give advice to, is unwilling to listen to you, at some point you're going to have to draw the line and be like, you know what? I did what I could.
Yep. I mean, you don't want to waste your time. Wisdom is not
Hmm.
time wasted. It's you put your time to better
Hmm.
use. And I mean, countless times weekly, I run into those little walls that
Hmm.
you realize it's like this. They're not listening. There's not much you can do. That's true. All right. So stanza 123. You will never get a reward for speaking with a bad man, but a good man will make you happy with his praise.
I mean, when speaking to like a bad man or somebody with ill intent, they could easily use the conversations that you've used with them and turn it and use it against you. Um, which I've seen more times than I'd like to admit.
Unfortunately, that is very true. Also,
Um,
usually they're only out for their benefit when they're
mhm,
talking with you.
yeah,
They really don't care what happens to you.
yeah. And true, good, honest people, when you talk to them, they will, when you're having conversations with them, they're gonna boost you up, make you know that you're appreciated. And that's like the major difference between speaking to somebody who just really doesn't care to somebody who actually truly appreciates your time, energy, and friendship.
Yeah. One of my old mentors said a good way to filter out um, people when you sit down to talk, pay attention and see who listens to understand and who listens to respond.
Hmm.
Because you truly have to listen deep and focus to understand what's being said, to understand where the person's coming from, so that you can truly take part, understand the conversation, and truly give back to it.
Hmm.
If you're listening to respond, you're just waiting for them to shut up so you can say something. Or, as it's turned into this day and age, they're only listening to enough to argue with you.
Yeah.
So I actually apply that one quite a bit, and it actually does still help.
Yeah.
All right. So stanza 124.
Yep. Men become friends when they can share their minds with one another. Anything is better than being lied to. A real friend will disagree with you openly. I 100% stand by that.
Yep.
There, I have had, some really good, solid friends, even to this day, where we will disagree till we turn blue in the face, but we still respect each other. We will have our
Mm-hmm.
differences of opinion. We talk about it. We don't get into fights about it. We respect that we just don't agree on certain subjects.
No, you're absolutely correct. I mean, and with guys, especially in my generation, you could see two friends have a
Hmm.
disagreement and a fist fight, maybe even break a
Hmm.
chair or two over each other's head.
Hmm.
As soon as the fight's over, doesn't matter who won. That is not even on their mind. They're still friends.
Hmm.
They're having a drink together. They're laughing. They're talking. They're even complimenting each other on the tactics they use during the fight.
Hmm. Yeah, I would rather have a friend be open and honest that they just don't agree with something than have them lie to my face over and over
Exactly.
again, just so that way they can have some type of commonality with me.
Yep. I would totally agree. Totally. I love that one. So that brings us to 125.
Hmm.
I counsel you, Lathofnir, if you'll take my advice. You'll profit if you learn it. It'll do you good if you remember it. Don't speak even 3 words with a man worse than you. Often the better man will lose when a worse man fights him. There's a modern saying that fits this really well.
Hmm. It's just like, oh, how do I put it in words? I can see it in my head, and I'm trying to figure out how to put this dang thing in words. Um,
Brain's not working, folks.
no, I my brain does not compute right now. It's like if you come to a disagreement with somebody who is worse than you want to turn the other cheek and be the better person.
Yeah, I think the phrase that this one strikes for me the most is don't lower yourself to their level.
Yes, yes, yes.
Because when we do that, no matter who we besmudge our own character to engage them,
Hmm.
and we don't really have anything to gain from it.
Hmm.
So yeah. So you're up next with
Yep.
126.
126. I counsel you, Laud Fafnir, if you'll take my advice, you'll profit if you learn it. It'll do you good if you remember it. Don't make shoes and don't make weapons except for yourself. If there's a flaw in the shoe or the spear shaft is crooked, your name will be cursed. Hmm.
This one's a little culturally poetic.
I mean, you don't want to get a bad Yelp review, right?
That's kind of it. But
Um,
if
like
you
this,
think
if
about the Norse culture, whether it's
hmm
shoes that you wear for being out and about in the woods and in the snow, or shoes on a horse,
hmm
um, your shoe malfunctions, you could lose a foot. Your horseshoe malfunctions,
hmm
you could lose more than that. And a spear shaft, your life depends on that spear.
hmm
This goes down to be careful what you do for others because your generosity will come back to bite you.
yeah,
Because when that horse throws a shoe, when that spear shaft breaks, they're going to blame you. They're
hmm
not going to blame perhaps their care of it, perhaps just faulty wood, any of the
hmm
millions of things that could possibly happen. They're likely to blame you
yep,
because human nature is to blame the next immediate human first,
hmm
which sucks. But, well, that's human nature for you. Does that make sense?
yeah, it does.
All right. So, stanza 127
Hmm.
is me. I counsel you, Lord Fafnir, if you'll take my advice, you'll profit if you learn it. It'll do you good if you remember it. When you are at war, call it war and give your enemy no peace.
Funny thing is that when you were saying that, the first thing that popped in my head was like somebody taking off their shoes, pulling their earrings out, be like, "All right, let's do this thing." Like, when you're
Ah,
ready to fight, you are ready to fight. You are like mentally prepping yourself. There is no giving back at that point. You are beyond the point of return.
true. But you are correct, but I think you're missing the key root here because
Hmm.
this is telling you call it what it is. Be truthful, Be honest. Give no
Mm-hmm.
quarter. It is advising against the danger of attempting to make a situation better than it truly is, to be truly honest with the
Mm-hmm.
situation. Because
Okay.
if you're not genuinely honest with the entirety of the situation, you are setting yourself up for hurt. Whether it's a relationship, whether it's a battle, whether it's a disagreement, an argument, you
Mm-hmm.
need to be honest and handle the situation purely. You can't be, hee-hawing back and forth on it. You can't,
Mm-hmm.
be wishy-washy. You need to dig in deep and treat it as it is.
So don't be calling it something if you're not willing to follow through.
Right. And do commit to what it truly is. Be honest,
Mm-hmm.
because relationships, let's be honest. How many people have you seen make excuses for bad or toxic relationships and calling it anything but what it is, only to make their life worse?
Mm-hmm.
If they would just be honest with themselves, they could get out of Dodge, but they
Yeah.
won't be honest. That's what this is. And it does deal with war because, seriously,
Mm-hmm.
if you are in a battle, your enemy is not quasi your friend on any level. That is your enemy.
Mm-hmm.
And you need to treat it as such.
Mm-hmm. All right. 128.
Yep.
I counsel you, Lord Fafnir. If you'll take my advice, you'll profit if you learn it. It'll do you good if you remember it. Never be glad to hear bad news, but be cheerful about good news.
Yep.
Yeah.
And honestly, I think Odin, this one hits me a lot. It does. Do you get this one?
I mean, you never want to be cheering on any type of bad things that happen, even if it's to some place
Yeah.
that yeah, I'm trying
This
not
is
to.
a hard one. This is a really, really hard one. Um, and this is one I struggle with. I'm not going to lie about it. I'll be honest with you all. Whether it doesn't matter if it's an enemy, someone you hate, it doesn't matter. When something bad happens to someone, you should not celebrate it. I've done it. I've celebrated it. I shouldn't have, but I did.
Yeah, I
You
mean, we're
should
all
not
guilty
celebrate.
of it.
Yeah.
It's
Because
part of
you're,
human nature.
but here's another thing. You're putting your focus onto a negative.
Mm-hmm.
You're celebrating a negative, which can actually bring that back around to you.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if a bad thing befalls your enemy, fine, be that what it may. You can even call it karma. You can even admit they got what they deserve. There's 1,001 ways you can go about it without celebrating it and without putting yourself, you know, without putting yourself in a bad situation by trying to rush over and bail them out or something.
Yeah.
Instead, focus on those good things is what this is. This is literally
Yeah.
focus on the good. And actually, with Thanksgiving coming around, because tomorrow's actually Halloween at the time of recording this, so it'll
Yep.
be November when this comes out. Um, Celebrate the good. Be thankful for the good. Do not celebrate the bad.
Mm-hmm.
Keep your focus on that. And if you spend your days celebrating those good things, whether it's just a cup of coffee with a friend, a laugh with a friend, or even you just trip, fall, and face plant in the mud and laugh about it, life will be better. It really will.
Mm-hmm.
And especially this day and age, I know there's a lot of crazy stuff happening. We won't get into it, but don't celebrate the bad. Focus on the good, people. All right. So that was, you read that one, right?
Yep.
All right.
Your
So
odds, I needed.
129 is me. Okay. I counsel you, Lord Fafnir, if you'll take my advice, you'll profit if you learn it. It'll do you good if you remember it. You should never look up when you're in a fight. You should never look up when you're in a fight. Men who do so may get turned to stone. Beware, or someone may curse you.
Never look up, like up in the sky kind of thing.
Technically, that is what it's saying, but the direction's not per se where the wisdom's at. I know you have
Like, is
dance
it
classes, but so okay. Let's put this in dance instead of
like
combat.
focus on the task at hand kind of
Yeah,
situation?
yeah. Because let's say you're dancing and you're supposed to is a spin a pirouette? Is that what that's called? Um, or we'll just call it a spin. You're supposed to spin, or your partner's going to jump, and you're supposed to catch them, or they're supposed to catch you.
Mm-hmm.
Do they tell you to just jump, or do they tell you to spot your target?
Spot the target.
You need to be aware of your surroundings. You need to be aware of what's
Mm-hmm.
going on.
Mm-hmm.
If you're not, you cannot defend yourself. You cannot be sure what's happening. Now, in a fight, if you're actually in a fist fight, whatever, it doesn't matter. If you decide to go, you're an open target. You have no perception of what's going on around you because you're which way did it go? Which way? um, and that'll get you killed, aka
Mm-hmm.
stoned. Big old tombstone.
Mm-hmm.
Always be aware of where you are, what you're doing, what's going on around you. If you're not, you're opening yourself to disaster and problems. And when that problem finds you, like 99% of all humans, you're going to blame someone other than you. Keep your eyes open, keep your head on a swivel, stay aware of what's going on around you. If you need
Mm-hmm.
to relax, if you need the ability to not be aware, go home, close the door, sit down. Don't do anything stupid. Don't do like a few guys I know and be like, well, I need to relax. I need to make sure, I don't need to be hyper aware of what's going on. So I'm going to go home and rest. Sounds like a great idea. And then enters Jack Daniels.
Ooh.
And next thing you know, they're on the roof calling like a chicken trying to fly with a trash bag. Didn't work. They ended up in the hospital.
That's been some
So
good entertainment though.
it was one of those hey, watch this moments. It really was. So make sure when you go to put yourself in that situation, you keep yourself in that situation.
Mm-hmm.
If you and Tequila or you and Jack Daniels end up jumping off roofs or doing stuff that you need to be aware of what's going on, don't do it. Okay, so we got the
1:30.
yep, 1:30.
I counsel you, Lord Fafnir, if you'll take my advice, you'll profit if you learn it. It'll do you good if you remember it. If you want to win a good woman, speak cheerfully with her and enjoy it while you do. Make promises to her and keep your promises. You'll never regret winning such a prize.
See, Odin can be a sweetie when he wants to.
Mm-hmm.
We've seen him being a downright prick.
Yeah, absolutely.
And clearly you can
So,
see he has learned from his stupidity.
I mean, this stanza right here goes to even modern times today. If you really want to, and it could go either way. It could be for a guy or a girl. If
It
you
can.
if you're looking to, win the heart of whoever you're looking for, when you're talking with them, be, good, down to earth, cheerful person because you're going to want to enjoy their company and you're going to want them to enjoy your company. And be truthful. If you're going to, tell them something, make a promise to them, you need to follow through with those promises because
Breach.
trust is one of those biggest things that are lost in today's age. And it's one of the biggest things that I hold dear to me, which is that the people I surround myself with, I trust them, but it takes a long time to build that trust.
Yep.
And if you are looking for a long-term partner, you have to build that trust and keeping those promises.
Yep. Now, I was speaking with a heathen, and she pointed out, and she has like a degree in poetry and stuff. Um, she loves this stanza because she pointed out to me poetically, um, joyous isn't just an emotion,
Hmm.
it's a mindset and a state of being.
Hmm.
And she's like, if you considering this is a poetic writing, and if you took that into context, this goes
Hmm.
even deeper because this means while you're sitting there, while you're talking to this individual that you're interested in, you're speaking to them in a position of joyfulness. You're enjoying their company. You're hoping they
Hmm.
enjoy your company. You're having a good time.
Hmm.
If you are joyful of mind, joyful of emotion, and you're literally where you are and what you are doing is joyful, you're relaxed. You're in the moment. You ain't worried about squat.
Hmm.
You are not desperate.
Hmm.
Ladies and gentlemen, you want to run somebody off, you approach that conversation in desperation. They can smell it on you, and it is worse than decay. It really is.
Yep.
So, I mean, I actually put a lot of thought in that after she went into that because I'm not big on poetry. I'll be honest, people. Surprise, right? I'm sure about 50,000 people just fell out of their seats in not surprise. But I did think about that. And I have to agree with her fully because I can't count the number of guys I've seen, or actually girls. Sorry, girls, I'm going
Hmm.
to have to lump you into this because I've seen it too. Um, their desperation is literally what runs everyone off, and they can't figure out why no one wants to spend time with them.
Hmm.
But not just desperation, also despair.
Hmm.
If you're a moping Molly or just one of these little grump, no one friends will want to talk to you and try and uplift you. But
Hmm.
if you make the hard stance that I'm going to stay down here in the muck and mire and I'm just going to mope and piss and go on, don't be surprised when no one else wants to be there all day. At some point, you got to pick yourself up.
Yep.
Anyways, that's my rant. And yes, let's double down on keep your promises,
Hmm.
no matter how big or small. You promised to get her a stuffed animal, get her a stuffed animal. You promised to
Hmm.
buy her a Starbucks. That may sound stupid. Well, what's it matter if she gets one latte less? You promised. That's what matters. Your word. Because every little promise we break to an individual is one notch into the fact that they can't depend on us.
Yep.
The little things matter often more times than the big things because the big things come around occasionally. Yes, they'll take a big chunk out of that dependability post, but the little ones will eat away at it quickly.
Hmm.
Keep those promises, people. Um, all right, 31. That's an odd one. That should be this odd duck. So 131. I counsel you, Lord Fafnir, if you'll take my advice, you'll profit if you learn it. You'll do good if you remember it. I advise you to be wary, though never fearful. Be most wary about drinking, about other men's women, and about a third thing, about men and their temptation to steal. He's just hitting us with those cold, hard, good advices today.
Hmm.
Now, again, Odin's telling us you probably shouldn't be getting verschnickered.
Hmm.
People's like, that's not in there. But we're coming across this is like 3 or 4 times now. Odin's like, mind your drinking.
Yeah. Which is so funny because a lot of people view the Norse as, you know,
They really
ones
do.
that do drink
I know a lot of
alcohol.
people who get into a Norse practice because they want to get drunk on mead.
Mm-hmm.
I know a person who they couldn't tell you what Melniorn was. They just became a heathen, but they wanted mead. It's like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, yeah, you got a lot to learn.
Yeah.
um, so there's the alcohol. Then there's of other men's women. Yeah,
Yeah.
guys, that's just bad ideal. Period. Ladies,
Yeah.
that's a bad ideal. Stay away from another woman's man. Don't do it. That's bad.
Mm-hmm.
First off, if someone's willing to cheat, they'll cheat on you. You're not special. Sorry. Secondly, what's that say about you if you're willing to pirate another person like that?
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't think anything well. And third thing is the temptation of people to steal. Again, human nature. Odin and the Norse were aware humans are not born good. Honor, dependable, good traits that we think of, those are things people work at, they develop.
Mm-hmm.
And those are all important points. But perhaps the most important point of this stanza in my mind actually comes before those. Be wary, though never fearful.
Mm-hmm.
Be considerate. Pay attention. Consider what could go wrong. Prepare for it.
Mm-hmm.
Be mindful of it. But don't become a shut in. Don't live your life in fear. You got to get out there. You got to experience life. You got to live it. Good things, bad things will both happen. But
Mm-hmm.
be mindful, and far less bad things will happen.
Absolutely. He's telling them to use their noodle.
Yep. I like that one personally.
Mm-hmm. No, that one's deep. I like that one.
Mm-hmm. You got 132.
All right. I counsel you, Loud Fafnir, if you'll take my advice, you'll profit if you learn it. It'll do you good if you remember it. Never mock, never laugh at a guest nor a wanderer. I mean, that one's just being, a good, considerate person. You don't want to mock people like if they're wearing raggedy clothes, their
Yeah.
origins, or if they have like you know, something that's causing them to not maybe not be so mobile, like a limp or something. You don't want to mock them for that.
Mm-hmm.
Because I mean, you don't know of their situation, what they're going through, what they've been through.
Yeah.
Um,
This one hit home for me when I first read it because it made me think of trucker culture.
mhm.
A lot of people this day and age have no flipping clue what I'm talking about right now. But my generation grew up with it. Watched Smokey and the Bandit, Convoy, movies like that. My dad was a trucker. Truckers get made fun of a lot.
Mhm.
People will comment how poorly they dress, how poorly they take care of themselves, all this stuff. Okay, these people are on the road nearly 24/7 driving. And the loads that's not driving like you're driving your Prius, your car, or even your four-wheel drive to the Walmart people. These 18 wheelers, they take a great deal of paying attention to manage the weight of that trailer, not to jackknife it, not to run over people on
Mhm.
the road. There's a lot that goes on. Yes, they may not dress in a three-piece suit or they may not dress in top of the line clothing while they're out doing a haul. And I do see people make fun of truckers a lot. But trust me, if those truckers park their trucks all at once, none of you would have anything. They dress the way they
Mhm.
do for comfort because they need to be remotely comfortable trying to do that job. Um,
Absolutely.
they don't get to eat at the best places. They really don't. They don't have the opportunity to go to a gym 5 days a week or something.
Hmm.
What they do is hard. It's mentally, emotionally draining. And we shouldn't mock them.
No.
And I am extremely grateful to get to know truckers and trucker culture firsthand. I actually did several trips with my dad when I was a kid. That was like the coolest thing for me in the summer. Um, and I don't know if kids still do it, but like you used to be able to go down the interstate and like do this, and truckers would be like, hit the air horn. Um, Kids loved it, and the truckers knew that they just made that little kid's day.
Hmm.
Um, and I've even heard people say, "You don't want to be like that. You don't want to be like that poor man over there. He ain't got no money. Go to college, get you a degree." I'll be honest, truckers actually make good money.
Hmm.
Um, Time away from home, a little rough, what I admit.
Yeah.
But if it's a job you can enjoy and you like driving or being on the road or seeing places, there ain't nothing wrong with it.
Yeah.
Don't mock a person's circumstance. You may not understand it. I mean, the
Yeah.
same thing could go to the trash man. Trash men make big money.
Oh, yeah.
Not glamorous,
Absolutely.
but they do it. You know what? Actually, micro dirty jobs right here. That's the stanza. Micro dirty jobs. Go watch it. That's just micro everyone.
Hmm.
Uh yeah, that crap, that would sum that one up. I went on this long rant when I could just said micro dirty jobs. Done.
Hmm.
Oh, before I forget, I do want to
Yeah.
remind everybody we are using Dr. Jackson Crawford's translation of the Poetic Eddas.
Hmm.
Okay. Um, if you enjoy it, make sure you go purchase his book. It's on Amazon and Kindle. He ain't paying me to say this. I just love his translation. And yeah.
I actually had firsthand experience with people mocking my job
Really?
years ago. Oh yeah, I was a telemarketer,
Oh Lord.
and people asked me what I did, and I told them, and they're like, "Oh my God, why do you even do that? Why do you even go to work every day?" I was like, "You know what? Because it pays the bills."
It does. And
And I was,
I try to remember that.
and honestly, the cause that I was working for was actually really good. Um, so it wasn't too horrible, but um, it's it's not an easy job. I mean, you're doing like 200 dials a day, calling people who are doing nothing but yelling at you all day, and you still got to keep that smile on your face and still sound chipper on the phone. And having family and friends mock you for being a telemarketer, yeah. So it
Yeah. Eh,
it sucks.
yeah. I could get that. I really could. I mean, I try to be nice to telemarketers because I do get it. They're doing their job, but some of them are a bit more annoying than others. And I'm guilty of not being nice. Like I'm pretty sure I drove an AT&T call person to drinking because I kept them on the phone for an hour. And like the first 10 minutes is this is AT&T. Is this AT&T? This is AT&T. Is this AT&T? This is AT&T. I had them so frustrated. They had the manager on the phone, and I was like, no, we're fine. We're fine. Don't worry about it. I was actually about to sign up for friends and family. Oh, well, great. Let me hand you back over. I was like, okay, so friends and family, right? They told me the price. I was like, cool. Okay, so tell me how this works because, like, I got more than enough family. I'm like lonely and I don't really like my family. So, can I just sign up and get friends? And what kind of friends are they? Do I get to pick their hobbies? Click. Needless to say, AT&T has not called me and my wife in 20 years.
That is hilarious. So yeah,
So, yeah,
never
but do
mock a
try.
person.
Do try.
Hmm.
Like, Jade, we're friends.
Oh yeah,
You know a thing or
absolutely.
two about me and a few receptionists I've had to deal with in the last couple of months.
Mhm. Yes.
Have they pushed every button and nerve I have? Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I try to understand their point of view, understand that it may or may not necessarily be them that caused the hiccup in the paperwork or whatnot. And I try to communicate that with them, knowing full well that my frustration right now is coming through my attitude, my voice. And if I'm not letting them know this verbally, they're going to think I'm ready to come through this phone and just rip their head off. So I try. Sometimes people, we can't, we get frustrated. And if you're like
Mm-hmm.
me, you wear that frustration on your sleeve, your face, you wear it as a coat. It is your mantle. Fine. Try to communicate, try to let them know you're frustrated. The
Mm-hmm.
situation has you frustrated. It's not them personally. Okay. That goes miles. It really does.
Absolutely.
All right. I'm done with that rant too. Don't worry. I got another rant coming. I don't know what it is, but I'm sure it's coming. That was an even. So, oh crap, it's my turn. I guess I'm not done talking. Stanza 133. Those inside the house rarely know anything about the stranger who knocks at their door, but there is no man so good that he has no flaw, nor a man so bad he's good for nothing. I feel like I should start ranting. It's too quiet.
No, I'm wheels are turning. I mean, so I mean, when you a stranger knocks on your door, you don't know whether they are just a good honest person or if they're trying to do some shenanigans. So
Mhm,
you have to be mindful of that and assess the situation as you interact with them if you choose to open the door
mhm.
to see, if they're even worth your time
Yeah.
and not
But
just automatically judge them.
exactly, don't automatically judge them. And it goes a little deeper. It goes into something I know I've told the admin staff in our gilded community. Whether it's your enemy, whether it doesn't matter the situation, there's always something to learn.
Mm-hmm.
And there's no man without no flaw. So first off, I don't
Mm-hmm.
care who you are, you're not perfect. Get over it.
Yep.
You're flawed. Um, so again, back to the truckers or sanitation department, you're not better than them, contrary to what you tell yourself. But even a truly bad person, they're going to have some good. They may teach you lessons. You may gain wisdom even from their mistakes. Like back to
Mm-hmm.
that guy I knew. I know without having to do it myself to not drink a bottle of Jack Daniels, get on the roof, crow knock a chicken, and jump off with a trash bag. I know this. I learned it from him. We can learn by observing others.
Absolutely.
So even the worst amongst us has some good to play for society if we pay attention. Does that make sense?
It does.
Groovy. See, not too bad of a rant that time.
Oh, but the rants are so fun.
Maybe next one. Let's see what the next one is. Maybe next one. All right, Jade, you got this one. Stanza 134.
All right. I counsel you, Lot Fafnir. If you'll take my advice, you'll profit if you learn it. It'll do you good if you remember it. Never laugh at an old man. There is often wisdom in what the old men say. Wise words will often come from a gray bearded mouth. From those who hang with dried skins, those who swing with dried skins, those who wave with dried skins. I mean, the first part I get 100%. So, I
Mm-hmm.
mean, when it comes to the elderly, I've always been raised with the mentality that you treat them with respect. They have had such a journey through their entire life. They have knowledge, they have stories. And
Oh,
honestly, even just speaking with my grandparents, I have learned so much about my heritage through them. and just so much about their life. I mean, the struggles, the the triumphs they went through, the adventures they've been on. I mean, there's so much you can learn from them,
Yeah.
and they deserve nothing but the utmost respect.
See,
But unfortunately, yeah.
I've always enjoyed sitting and talking with people older than me. Their
Hmm.
war stories, I enjoyed it. I learned so much from it. Um, a lot of my early not learning to cook actually comes from my grandmother, which is funny because she wasn't a good cook. Uh,
Hmm.
but you can learn so much. They're not outdated at all. They got to be old for a reason,
Hmm.
and they deserve that time and that respect. They really do.
Hmm.
And don't forget, people, we're going to be them. Actually, as someone pointed out the other day, I almost am them. I have the gray beard. I am literally sitting around constantly talking to people younger than me about the shenanigans of my life. And it's just like, well, yeah. And then to top it off, one of my good buddies who I've mentioned on the channel before, Nitro, was like, yeah, you're even getting grumpy with the younger ones too, telling them back in my day. Oh, God. Which he's not wrong. I think I even said it during live stream tonight.
You did.
And thanks to Squirrel, I definitely have a lot more gray in my beard than I used to. Don't believe me? Watch the first video on the channel and come back and check this one out again. So,
Now, the
yeah.
second part of the stanza, that just, I guess the term of dried skins just seemed a little weird to me.
Okay. Okay. This might seem weird to you. I don't know. But have you ever seen someone who spent their life outside working on a farm?
They kind of have
Their
that leathery
skin is
skin.
very leathery, very
Hmm.
wrinkled, and especially where you get to a culture where the elderly is not maybe as active, they're more they sit around, talk, they carry the knowledge and wisdom. So
Hmm.
they're losing a lot of muscle mass and their skin hangs.
Hmm.
Think Grandpa Simpson.
Okay.
Simpson is a parody of this stage of life.
Hmm.
Now, I do call him a parody because he is deliberately meant to be a comical version. Um, and that's okay. Now, this day and age, we got gyms, we got stuff, you've got 80-year-olds who still have muscle. I mean, for sake, look at Arnold. I don't know how old he is, but he's getting up there. And I'll be
Hmm.
honest, I think he's in better condition than me. The only thing I'm beating him on might be gut size because I'm carrying around at least a keg.
Oh my God.
um, so, but at least at this point in time, that wasn't necessarily unheard of. So they're talking about the gray, they're talking about the signs of those extended years, is what that
Hmm.
second part's talking about.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, now it does. It was
Yeah.
just an odd
I
term for me.
It is poetic. And again, we're talking about, the aspects of aging.
Hmm.
And I kind of like it. I know a lot of people are like, oh, that's a horrible way to put it. I like it because much like people are terrified to talk about death and funerals and cremation and oh, death is natural. Death isn't
Hmm.
something to be feared. Death isn't something to be mourned. In fact, I love the way the Cajuns do it. Let's celebrate this crap. Um, old age too should be celebrated. Um, one of my one of my original D&D groups actually kind of nailed this. But you see this kind of in American culture a lot, though it's not as bluntly stated. They made a rule: never hit the old guy, because essentially their mentality was in a game like D&D, if you live to be that old, odds are you're going to be able to kill him. And if you think about how tough some of these old war vets are, you look at them, they might fit this description,
Mm-hmm.
but don't think they can't hurt you. So I actually do like that one. And I love the way they dig into that actual aging concept.
Yeah.
Because to me, just like death, aging should not be shunned.
Mm-hmm.
It should be celebrated. I've been asked point blank, Drake, why don't you, get some of that? I think they called it Just for Men. If I'm misquoting the product, I apologize, people, because I didn't pay that good attention. Essentially, it's like beard dye. Because they're like, you're getting a lot of gray. I know I am. I don't mind it.
Mm-hmm.
I like my salt and pepper. Granted, I'm going more salt and pepper here. But, and I also had this like big streak, but I'm not worried about it. And if I had hair or let my hair grow, I have hair. I just don't, I'm lazy. I don't grow it out. I actually got massive streaks of gray on each side. I'm okay with it. I loved it. Don't hide it, people. Celebrate it. You survived it, especially us Gen Xers. Good God, we were idiots. All right. So 135. This will be me. But well, before I move on, does that make sense to you? Do you have any other questions on that?
No, not at all. That's a really good stanza. That one I hold
Mm-hmm.
close to my heart.
All right. So 135. I counsel you, Lord Fafnir, if you'll take my advice, you'll profit if you learn it. It'll do you good if you remember it. Never spite a guest, nor be stingy with your food. Treat a poor wanderer well.
I mean, if you have a guest, you want to be a good host, don't don't, you know, treat them with disrespect. And if you have food to offer them, don't just give them like one taquito. You want to give them like a good plate so that way they can eat up and you know and whatnot. I mean, you're being a host to them, so you want to make sure that your guest is well taken care of, well fed. They feel comfortable, they feel welcome, and whatnot.
Exactly. Also, it's treat a poor wanderer well.
Hmm.
This drifts into territories most don't want to talk about because it talks about community, it talks about charity, it talks about things that are more associated with church. Shh, shh. So, if you dare, and I would actually encourage you, there is an old country song called The Outlaw's Prayer
Hmm.
that really sums this concept up well. And I love this because essentially, the musician, he's not, I mean, he puts the best clothes he has on at the time because he's traveling. Remember, like we talked about truckers?
Hmm.
And he wants to go to church. He's not able to get to church. This is his first chance in a long, long time. So he goes and he's turned away because he ain't dressed right. He's not dressed appropriate. And it goes into it where, the concept is I thought all were welcome.
Hmm.
This is a concept that I did learn in church that I'll admit we don't see it enough. We don't see it enough. And we don't see it enough across the board, not just in Christianity. I have been to so many group gatherings where people are judged for how they dress or whatever, and they're almost shunned and turned away. And these are groups where we would like to call ourselves charitable, tolerant, understanding, caring, helpful community. Yet we turn them away because they didn't meet our standard. Whether it be dress, bathing, all kinds of other things. People, don't do that. You want to know
Hmm.
why I'm not spiritual, why I'm not religious? Go listen to Outlaw's Prayer. The way that man was treated is the reason I'm not spiritual or religious. And that includes Christians, pagans, I don't care who you are. I haven't found a religion yet that didn't do it.
Hmm.
Don't judge a book by its cover. You haven't walked in their shoes. You don't know what they're dealing with. And it
Hmm.
costs you nothing to just be nice, to say hi, happy holidays, Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, Happy Spaghetti Monster. I don't care. Cost us nothing, people. Don't be a Karen.
No.
Guys, don't be a shitbag. Is there a male Karen term that I don't know? Because where I come from, that's just what we call them.
I've always just heard the term Karen, so I don't know.
I'm going to brainstorm on that. I need a term. I need a YouTube appropriate term because I'm going to get flagged eventually. Because yeah, guys, we can be just as bad.
Hmm.
So I don't care who you are, male or female. Don't be a freaking Karen, and don't be one of these hypocrites.
Mm-mm.
It's ugly. It don't look good.
So
Told you I'd find another
yeah,
rant.
yeah. I mean, I could rant on this one too, just because
And
there's in the state I live in, there's a lot of there's a lot of people who like live in poverty, or there's a lot of homeless out here, and a lot of times they're treated terribly out here.
mhm.
And for years, this is something that I have done for years. I've always kept extra water bottles on me or granola bars. And if I see them, I'll actually go walk up to them and give them a water bottle and a Gatorade, a water bottle or a granola bar.
And
Because,
say I'm glad you have the resources to be able to do that. It's a
hmm,
small thing, but
I mean, I don't
well,
always have the luxury of having them, but if I do have it, I will give them something because, I mean, people have hard times, and I don't know what they've gone through. I don't know what their situation is.
mm-mm.
And like even when I was working at a bank like almost a decade ago, there was a homeless guy that would sit on the grass area outside of the bank every single day. And so every day I would bring him, even if it was like a tiny little water bottle, something, just to, make sure that he had at least hydration and to show him kindness because a lot of people would just turn a blind eye to him.
Makes a difference. It really does.
Hmm.
When I talk about I'm thankful for what I have so that it can allow me to help my community, that's what I'm talking
Hmm.
about. That and so much more. Um, and too many people judge too quickly. And pisses me off. But even if you don't like country music, people, I'm sure everything's on YouTube. So
Hmm.
search up Outlaw's Prayer, give it a listen, and set aside your judgments of music genres. Listen to the message, because I know. Believe me, I got there's genres I don't listen to too much. Um, like for most people, like pop music is one that I would say I don't generally listen to, but that's people's like, so you don't listen to pop? I said generally. I actually get down to some Lady Gaga. I'm not gonna lie.
Hmm.
But I have no problem setting aside my preferences to listen because music is an art and there's usually a message. Some of the more modern stuff it feels a little less messagey, I'll admit.
Yeah.
But I will still sit and listen because even if, let's say the song itself is devoid of message, let's say that. Let's say the artist just created something fun and goofy and nonsense. What can that song tell you about the people who enjoy it and listen? There's still something there. There is. There's still something there.
Mhm. Absolutely.
All right. This one's even, so it's yours.
Kill. 136.
136.
Otherwise, it's a bitter tree. You'll find yourself hanging from in the sight of all. Give give a beggar something, or he will call a curse down on your every limb. This goes back to what I was just talking about.
Yep. Just circled right back around, didn't he?
Hmm.
It's
And
like
one
the
of the things
military.
that,
Piggyback off what the chief just said.
another reason why, I feel like it's so important to, be kind to those who are in need is because you never know if you're going to end up in that situation.
This is true.
And, when you're in that situation, you would hope that somebody would extend that kindness to you.
Yep.
Um, and another thing is that that small act of kindness could potentially change their route and maybe set them on the right path.
Yeah.
Just
My
one act of
grandfather,
kindness.
we called him Dado. I honestly don't know why we did. That's just what,
Hmm.
when I was born, that's what we called him.
Hmm.
By all intents and purposes, most people would assume this was the grouchiest man alive, and he might very well be. If you ever saw Sanford and Son, he'd have gave Fred Sanford a really good run for his money. But behind all the just saltiness that this man had, there were some good thoughts in there. And this concept is one of them because he was talking about, I remember specifically one of his sons was complaining about homeless people.
Hmm.
Me, knowing my grandfather, thought he was going to jump onto the let's just start bashing homeless people train and they're just going to go chugga chugga. He did not. He reminded them, we don't know what they're going through. We don't know what happened. There's nothing wrong with, like you, giving them a bottle of water or granola bar.
Hmm.
He's like, in fact, that cup of coffee, because that's really what he referenced. Go fig,
Hmm.
my family. Um, could be the beverage that gets them to tomorrow. And tomorrow is when everything turns around.
Hmm.
He agreed. We shouldn't just make it so that they stay where they're at, but we should seek to uplift them, not complain. He's right. And sure, maybe we ain't got the ability to give them a job. Maybe we ain't got the ability to give them a house, all this stuff. We do have the ability of that act of kindness. And just like he said, that act of kindness can get them to tomorrow when everything turns around. That act of
Yep.
kindness, as you said, could be the inspiration for humanity's not the crap hole I thought it was. I know it sounds redonkulous to so many of us who haven't been that low. I have been that low. But that one good deed can just tear down the entire bad perspective a person has. Do not underestimate it. We live a very, very privileged life in society.
Hmm.
Even our lowest tier is doing pretty good compared to what you could. Yep. And I would say they would be downright. I mean, if you spit on them, ignore them, or
Hmm.
anybody ever watch Boston Legal, shoot them with a paintball gun.
Hmm.
They'd be right to curse you
Absolutely.
because how empty are you if you really don't care?
Hmm.
And perhaps all of us should meditate on that one.
Absolutely.
All right, 37 would be me. Well, 137. I tend to
Hmm.
leave off the 100th digit. All right. I counsel you, Lord Fafnir, if you'll take my advice, you'll profit if you learn it. It'll do you good if you remember it. When you drink beer, choose the might of the earth, for the earth is good against beer, and fire against sickness, oak against irritable bowel, wheat against magic, an elder tree against family quarrels, maggots against venomous bites, runes against disaster, ground against water. Swear your hate beneath the moon.
I'm lost with this one.
All right. We hear this made sense to me because I grew up in the Appalachians.
Okay.
Jade, you might recognize this as folk remedies, folk wisdom.
Oh, okay.
The earth, it's hardy, it's strong, it wards off drunkenness. Think about it. If you're going out drinking, or you're just going out to dinner, let's say we're just going out to dinner. All right. Me, you, Seffi, and your husband, we're all going to dinner. And for whatever reason, we hit the lottery and we know they're going to bring each of us a double scotch.
Okay.
And we have to drink it, whether we like it or not. I ain't going to have a problem there. I love scotch. Are you going to drink that scotch on an empty stomach?
Oh, heck no.
Or are you going to eat some good hearty food before you put that in you? See what I mean?
Yeah.
Food from the earth, whether it be meat or heavy grains or potatoes, that good hearty, earthy foods,
Mm-hmm.
good against beer. This is given those old folk remedies.
Okay.
I'm not going to, first off, I'm going to say straight up, I don't know if all these are still accurate because I know a lot of folk remedies are not accurate. Like there is a lot of first aid you see in movies and used to be viewed as an accurate remedy that we know now today through science. Not a good idea.
Mm-hmm.
But these are the wisdoms he's sharing here.
Got it.
Fire against sickness. Honestly, think about it. During the plague, what was the best way to rid the bodies and the disease? They burned them.
Mm-hmm.
Oak against irritable bowel. I really don't know about that one. Wheat is actually said to be protective against magic spells. That is true. That's legit. In fact, wheat beers kind of got a big boost in some areas because like protective against. I'm pretty sure they just wanted to drink. They just needed an excuse. Uh, I wasn't there, so but it feels like to me that feels like a husband coming up with a really good excuse to have a beer. That's what that feels like. Maggots against venomous bites. Maggots do tend to eat away, but I will admit, I don't think
That just
maggots are
sounds
going to be
icky.
fast enough to get it out. They're not going to be fast enough to get venom out. Though they can prevent infection and stuff around, keep them from festering.
Runes against
Um,
distress. I mean,
yeah.
that's
So you see what
pretty
I'm saying?
straightforward.
And swear
Yeah.
your hate beneath the moon. That is, you're taking an oath. You're locking yourself into that one. That in Norse culture, that's a big one. That's one of those oaths that you don't break that crap. If someone hates you that bad, they're coming for you. Doc
Mm-hmm.
Holliday style. Doc Holliday, Johnny Ringo style. That's coming. That's going down. Okay. If y'all don't know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
talking about, you missed a great movie. So yeah, that's what that is. Any questions on it?
No.
All right. 138 then for you, Jade.
Yep. All right. I know that I hung on a wind-battered tree 9 long nights. pierced by a spear and given to Odin, myself to myself, on that tree whose roots grow in a place no one has ever seen.
Technically, the next one continues into that. You might want to go ahead and
Okay.
add it on.
No one gave me food. No one gave me drink. At the end, I peered down. I took the runes, screaming. I took them and then I fell. That looks like he keeps on going. Ah!
Yep.
Do I keep going?
Yep.
All right. I learned 9 spells from the famous son of Bolthorn, the father of Besla, and I won a drink of that precious mead poured from Othrarir.
Or through rear. Yeah, that word again. Okay. So this is literally Odin's time on the world tree. That's what he's recounting here.
Oh, okay.
Now, this one goes pretty deep, and this does hit. I think that last one I might not should have made you read, but that's okay. We are seeing him. This is where he gains the knowledge of the runes.
Mm-hmm.
This is where his wisdom and knowledge expands.
Okay.
Now, this day and age, we talk about growth, we talk about wisdom, we talk about knowledge. We talk about it in happy little thoughts with puppy dogs and kittens. And anyone who knows anything about the realities of growth and magic, they know the word growing pains actually
Mm-hmm.
has a reason for being there. And Odin demonstrates it here. You want to know what a spiritual experience is like. You want to know what spiritual growth is like. You want to know what spiritual insight is like. Here it is. I hung on a tree, pierced by a spear. He had a freaking spear through him. Given to Odin, myself to myself. This has also been translated as sacrifice of myself unto myself.
So did he pierce himself with the spear?
Yep.
Oh.
In other words, if you are setting out to pursue a goal, you are going to have to make personal sacrifice that can and will hurt to some level.
Mm-hmm.
Whose roots grew in a place no one has ever seen. Again, we're seeking the unknown. No one gave him food. He was on his own. No one gave him drink. He was alone and on his own. At the end, I peered down and took the runes. Screaming, I took them, and then I fell. When that knowledge, when that insight hit him, when it opened up the truth,
Mm-hmm.
there was a panic, a pain, a screaming, and even an excitement. But he fell.
Mm-hmm.
How many times have you heard me tell, when you fall, learn from it?
Yeah. You've said that many a times.
You cannot grow without pain. You cannot grow without
Mm-hmm.
sacrifice. This is literally being wrapped up in an extreme here. And this was a very painful and traumatic experience for Odin because he gained so much growth and knowledge like that. But you also notice he was there for 9 days and nights, I believe it said.
Mm-hmm.
So he had to go through all that before the insight. There was no insight until the very end. And had he given up before, there'd have been nothing.
Yep. You got to push through those growing pains to reach the goal that you seek.
Mm-hmm. And then he says he learned 9 spells, which I think we get into this. This is why a lot of people do think that the runes are spells, but there's only 9 that he mentions here.
Mm-hmm.
Which, and of course, he's talking about that horn.
The one that he stole.
Yep, got him some of that mead. Got him. Again, anything for knowledge. Good old Odin.
Hmm.
Um, so we're actually going to stop here because this is going to go into those spells and his expansion and that. Um,
Hmm.
and I think ending all his wisdoms on behavior, perception, wisdom, and the sacrifice of the road of life.
Hmm.
Because the world tree is often associated with the tree of life.
Hmm.
Your life is your world. So, I mean, that's a pretty deep concept to end on before we get into this other stuff. And we've been going a while. So I think we're good to stop here. That was a fun
Yep,
one, though.
I think so. This was a good one.
It didn't feel that long, but I think we might have gone over an hour.
I think we, yeah, just crested over an hour.
So, yeah, this was a good one. Really good one. And I know it sounds crazy, but if you humor me, people, go listen to the Outlaw's Prayer. Set religion aside, set politics aside, view it through wisdom only, view it through insight and life lesson, and perhaps meditate on it. This was a lot of fun. And again, if you haven't checked out Jackson Crawford's book, do it. It is on Kindle, in
Hmm.
case you're wondering why I'm holding up my phone. That's not a book. I know. I have to research too many. If I had them on, my movers might actually just disappear me if I had that as many books as I need. Um, yeah, this was a lot of fun. I have to ask Jade, how are you
Hmm.
enjoying the Havamal?
I am thoroughly enjoying this. What's crazy to me is that these words were documented so long ago, but how relevant it is today. Um, and a lot of these messages really hit close to home,
Mhm.
just from personal experiences, through my own eyes or through, ones very near and dear to me going through it themselves and watching them go through it. And it's just really interesting to see a different perspective of, you know, I guess, goals and things to learn from and, you know, codes to follow, insights, wisdom, all that.
That actually might be an interesting roundtable, talking about honor or codes in general.
Hmm.
That might be, because I'm sure that would give both of us something to think about and chew on and discuss,
Absolutely.
and could be a huge help for those seeking their place. Because as I hope I've made clear to you and other people, a code of honor or something, that's not something that necessarily locks you in. It's a guide, it's a compass for who you want to be.
Hmm.
Um, and I know personally, which I know I've shared with you my personal code, that code, though it may make sense to no one else, in my darkest of points and times where I had nothing else, I had that compass
Hmm.
to lean onto. People underestimate how powerful that can be. So, and
Absolutely.
yes,
That.
these are what I like to call generational wisdom,
Hmm.
because though they were written so long ago, like you said, they
Hmm.
continue to make sense and be relevant today.
Hmm.
And that personally is what amazes me about books of wisdom, not just the Havamal, is how they can be so relevant generationally.
Absolutely.
So I'm glad you're enjoying it. It's been a lot of fun to actually get to go through these and share these with you. And well, with everyone who actually sits down to watch our antics and my rants. All right. So with that, I think we're good to go. Anything you want to say before we go? Do you have a rant? Probably not.
Not right now.
We'd break the internet if Jay just decided to rant. It'd be like, what's this?
Oh
What's this? Jade is ranting. No. They wouldn't know what to do.
Yeah, I don't rant very often.
You don't, though I have heard you do it. Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah. Your Latin heritage comes through a little.
Just
Just like a little, like, you know.
when I'm very passionate about something,
Oh yeah.
I do go on a rant.
It's all right. It's good for you. It's good for you. Helps you live
Hmm.
longer. It helps you live longer. All right. Everyone, hope you've enjoyed this. If you have, be sure to hit the subscribe button and the notification bell. YouTube actually told me they're changing the color of the button. So it used to be red. It may still be red when you're watching this. It may be a different color later. Yay. Updates. I don't like change. I'm going to have to adapt. Here we go. Let's have some fun. We also do live streams every Sunday, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Join us there. And we have a gilded community. You can find that link in the About section of this channel. It used to be at the main page. Again, they're adding tabs. Like I went to look up a video earlier, clicked videos, could not find it. They added a live stream tab. So instead of live streams being in my video tab, they got a live stream tab. So
Interesting.
yeah, so if you can't find the Magical Coffee Hour replays, see if they put the live stream tab on your thing too. It might be over there. These updates, I'm barely getting to where I can do announcements right now, and now you're changing crap. It's like I gotta learn a whole new script. Why? YouTuber problems. What can I do?
Hmm.
All right, everyone. Have a wonderful night. Good night.
Bye.